Play.
So, good evening, Sir EJ. Good evening, classmates. My name is Galjano Angeline, and here is my video recording sharing my reflection on the important concepts of our lesson. So, from chapter 1 up to chapter 3. So, for chapter 1, we've discussed about the discourse analysis. The discourse analysis was first introduced by Zelig Harris, which is the meaning of a language behind the words, clauses, or sentences. So it examines the words in a social and cultural context. So another one is the communicative competence. Communicative competence was introduced by Delheims. It is the ability to communicate effectively through the use of a language, but that varies depending on a context, like saying sorry, greeting someone appropriately and effectively. So another one, after communicative competence, we also have this discursive competence. Yes, this discursive competence is like the use of acronyms or abbreviations appropriately or correctly, like the word um, LOL for laughing out loud, or the letters O I and C in the phrase OIC literally, and bye bye for the word BB. What else? Another one for chapter 1 is the performativity. So performativity, it is the use of language to perform, like let's say when saying sorry to someone, you do not just say the word sorry, but instead you show actions, or you show actions to mean what you said. Like you can send gifts ba, you can do, or you can cook her for like his offering for her or him. So let's move on to chapter 2. In chapter 2, we've discussed the discourse no we've discussed the discourse, community, and the society, discourse, community, and society. So based on the readings, a key notion in the area of discourse analysis is the concept of discourse community. So discourse community, it is a group of peoples who shares common activity, like a members of a particular club or association, or a group of students who go to classes at the same university. But according to John Swills, not all group of people belongs to a discourse community. That's why he provides a set of characteristics to define a particular group that belong to a discourse community. So first is the goal. A discourse community must have a set of shared common goals, like me. Since I belong to my section, yes, we share the same goal, like finishing or finishing this 4 years course the at the end of our college journey. So another goal is, so if I belong to a sports team naman, so every match or every game, so of course our goal is to win, right? So next set of characteristic is the mechanism for communication, or a particular way of how a group of people communicate. So let's say in a ML game, they have this chatbot, or a like the one they say open mic for their collaborative cooperations. In that way, they can communicate for they can communicate for enable further goal to be achieved. Another thing is this specialized terminologies. These specialized terminologies refers to a terminologies or words that only in within the discourse community, within your discourse community can understand, like in a ML in a ML games, they have these words like mage, like mage, what else, staff, bottoms, like buff. These are particular terminologies that once you do not belong to that discourse community, you cannot understand them. So another one is the threshold level of expertise. And additional information for discourse community is that um, uh, a discourse community is that a person can be a member of more than one discourse community. So me, for example, I think I am a member of four discourse communities since I am a student. I Yes, I'm a student. So my section, my group of friends, in a gym fitness gym fitness discourse community, and lastly in a church group. So I think I have four discourse community if I'm not mistaken. And uh, another information is that a discourse community can overlap in what way. So since I've said earlier that I belong to more than one discourse community, so inside the classroom, that is one discourse community, and inside the classroom, I have there my group of friends. So that is another discourse communities. So it overlaps. What else? Okay, so let's move on to the speech community. Speech community is broader than discourse community because speech communities, in general linguistics, it refers to the group of people who shares the same language like Filipino, English, Bisaya, Tausug, um, German, French, and many other languages. While in social linguistics naman, they prefer to use the word speech community in a narrower sense, which means they do not just talk the same language, but also they have the opportunity to interact. So interaction. So another concepts or important concepts for for the chapter two is the gender as discourse as a gender, discourse as a sexuality, and discourse as a identity. So in a discourse in gender, it is not natural because people perform different or multiple identities through their use of language. Like me, I can be a professional with the language that I've been using, and I can be like a casual student lang or a casual person lang through using like informal language, slang words like that. So I can perform multiple identities with different use of language. So let's move on to chapter 3. So in chapter 3, we've talked about the pragmatics or the meaning of a language, word, sentences in a context. Like when I say the word, it's hot, or I'm so hot. Oh yeah, that word. So I'm so hot. Like when I say that word, I could mean that I do not just mean that I am literally hot or at a high temperature, but like I'm saying it in a sarcastic way, or I'm being humble like that. So another important term here in chapter 3 is the speech acts. So in speech acts, we have three speech acts like the locutionary, illocutionary, and perlocutionary. For the locutionary, it is the literal meaning of the words. Like when I say the word, the sentence, it's hot in here. I literally mean that in this in this room, um, the temperature is at high level. So it's literally hot. While for illocutionary naman, it is the meaning of the words behind it. So the hidden meaning of a sentence, like in that sentence earlier. So I could mean that it's hot. When I say it's hot in here, I could also I it is like an indirect way of asking someone to open a window or open an electric fan because nga it's hot. While the the last act is the perlocutionary act. The perlocutionary act, it refers to the reaction or the response of the listener to based on what the speaker says. So in that with the same sentence earlier, um, when I say it's hot in here, the other person might reply like, "Oh, I like it warm." So in that response or that verbal response, that is the example of a perlocutionary act. So what else? In chapter 3 also we've discussed the Grice cooperative principles and we have four. These are the maxims of quality or the quality or it is quality or being truthfully to what you are saying, to be true. So next is the quantity or the enough information. The maxim of relation naman is relevant. Like when I say something, I want to go home, and then your response, oh, I went last time to Boracay. Like, no, it's not relevant, diba? So when we communicate, the response the response always be should always be relevant to the first statement. So another cooperative principle is the principle of relation, the principle of manner. And the principle of manner, it is to be in clear. So when I ask for the, so example, when I ask for the direction of a book to my brother, like, Kuya, where did you put the book? So, and then his response was, I put it on top of the table inside your room. So that statement or his response was follows the maxim of manner. So it was being specific and very clear. So once again, the four maxims of cooperative principles are the maxim of quality, quantity, relation, and manner. So, additional information pahabol sa chapter 3 was we've talked also about the felicity of conditions. This says that um, you when you say something, you must follow this the felicity of conditions, like the felicity of the conditions of at the right place, at the right person, and at the right time. So, for example, in a birthday party, you are invited at a birthday party and then you invite someone else. So in your actions didn't follow the felicity of condition because you are not the right person to invite someone at someone's party. So another example, another condition is the felicity condition of at the right place. For example, when you wear something that is revealing, so and then you went to church, so your outfit does not follow the felicity of conditions, like the right place, because in that place or inside the church you have to wear formal clothes, and yeah, we have to respect the place. So I guess that would be all for my reflections on the important concepts of our lesson. So thank you so much for listening.